Imagine yourself laying in bed one night and you know something's wrong and you ask your wife and she says she's met someone else, she doesn't love you anymore, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with you. After 10 years of marriage, I find myself in bed one night and my wife shares with me that she no longer loves me, she's met somebody else, and she definitely doesn't want to be with me anymore. At that point in time, I was emotionally hurt, I was angry, I had every reaction in the world that you would have, and my wife, she had none. At some point I had left the house and my son Brian had been standing outside the door and he'd been listening to all these things and he was crying and emotionally upset, and he grabbed onto me and he didn't want me to go because he thought I was going to kill this guy. And at that point I left, I got in my car, and for some reason, I can't explain it to you, but I went over to my wife's church. I did not like her church friends. I did not want to have anything to do with the church, but I think I wanted to go over and see if they knew what was going on, or maybe tell on her or something like that. And the men listened to me. They didn't say a word. They listened to me express what I just found out, and they said, "Dave, would you be willing to go to an event with us?" And I said, "Well, why and where?" And they said, "We're going to go learn how to be better husbands and fathers up at the Joe Louis Arena." I find myself actually running down front, and I find myself standing in front of Franklin Graham. And I remember looking around thinking, I'm the only one standing down here. And I stood there for about 20 minutes till he was done speaking, and he actually gave an invitation to receive Christ at that time. And hundreds and hundreds of other men came down there, but I was the first one. And I stood there and prayed to receive Christ, and it radically changed my life. A couple days later, I found myself back at home and told my wife and kids what had happened, and the kids were very excited. My wife acted like she was excited, but I could tell that deep down inside she probably thought this was going to be a phase and it would just come and it would go. I can remember going to church and feeling like maybe Lourdes was just going through the motions. But then I began to see her begin to grow in her faith, and I saw her begin to learn about grace and God's love and His forgiveness. And at one point, she gave her life back over to Christ. And it was then that the Holy Spirit began to work on her, and the Holy Spirit began to show her that I was the man for her. I was the one that God intended for her to be married to, and that she could love me again. And over a process of time, she was able to love me, and now she loves me more than I've ever experienced or ever could imagine possible.